I wanted to welcome everybody who has joined us on our Zoom meeting today, this afternoon. And I want to apologize for last week's debacle. We had technical difficulties, probably me, user issues.
No, it was me, all of me.
I'm not putting any of it on you because it was no better.
I didn't start the meeting for you.
Well, you were otherwise engaged.
Yeah, you had your hands full. So it was good that we just kept it till this week. This is good. We're discussing today the state of our guild, a basic overview of the past year and what's coming up. I will speak about different things that have happened this year, and Kay will discuss financial standings for the end of this fiscal year and going forward. The Guild had 9 shows this year and 4 exceptional workshops for anybody who attended those, with exciting premier artists. Participation was slightly lower than we wished, and we are hopeful that we'll be able to raise interest in both shows and workshops in the next coming year. We don't have a total plan for that yet, but we are hopeful. The end of May, we awarded 4 scholarships totaling $5,000 to high school seniors heading to college to pursue the arts. The Guild hosted a successful sidewalk sale, raising money for the scholarship fund, and we only could do that with the help of many dedicated volunteers. So that was a very good turnout. We have planned a large renovation for the gallery that will start in July. This will include painting the whole premises, installing a new hanging system, and will make hanging shows much faster and easier going forward. This renovation will start July 14th and will be finished in time for the C3 show that will start August 5th. Kay has worked hard to put together our 25-26 board. We have many new faces on the board this year, but we are still missing 2 vital positions. I feel like I'm, preaching to the choir, but the first is the president and second one is VP of programs. Neither of these are particularly hard positions, but vital to the running of our guild. Please consider taking one of these positions. Please.
Please.
We have a committee organized for Western Fed. It's slowly coming together, and that will happen spring of 28. Is that correct? Is it spring of 28?
28.
And the meetings have already begun. The third meeting is this coming Monday. This project will involve the whole guild. Please consider getting involved in areas that you can be most effective using skills and talents that you can bring to the table. Western Fed is one of those big events that could make or break our guild based on the success of this show. This is one of the largest fundraisers for the guild, but it could easily slip through our fingers if not practical and frugal. And finally, I think that's the end here, is lastly, a reminder for those of you who have not renewed your membership, now is the time. You must be a member to enter shows and sign up for workshops. And if you haven't signed up, we will be calling you. We'll hunt you down. And that's the end of my part. There's probably a lot more I could have said, but we don't have all day. So, Kay, you're up.
All right. Well, first of all, Carla, thank you for being our president for 2 years. I know there was a tremendous learning curve and you were dealing with your mom, getting her into assisted living and memory care. So thank you for doing that during our struggles, your struggles. And I'd like to expand on a couple of Carla's comments, and then I'll tell you what I have. I don't want to bore you with lots of numbers, but I need to share these with you. We don't have many opportunities to do this. We don't talk about this stuff much at the general meetings. And I sort of like the Zoom format. You guys are committed and I can see everybody when I'm talking to you, and it makes a difference. As she said, we had 9 gorgeous exhibitions this year. We sold over $12,000 in art. So it makes sense to enter a show and rent a bin or a wall or even be on a website so you can make revenue for yourself and for SAWG. We had 4 amazing workshops this year, and we've scheduled 4 more for the upcoming season, and 3 of them are 3-day workshops. We're very curious. The workshop committee is very curious of how they will fill. Now, workshops is one of our biggest revenue generators. So participating in this, luckily we still made money even though we didn't fill them. Only one of them filled. I think it was the first one. So we're going to see how this one goes. And the committee is busy planning 27, 28. So we've got the next 2 years already booked. The new one is already on the website for next season, and the rack cards have been printed. So mark your calendar to July 15th to sign up for workshops. Last year, we remodeled the gallery by taking out that middle wall so we could have more classes. And I want to thank Karen Brungart, hey Karen, Tim Bahajan, and Summer Celeste. They've all stepped up and are teaching in the gallery. And because we have more room, you can have up to 20 students now. We also had 2 sessions of Try Watercolor with SAWG, and that helps grow new artists for us. So I'm hoping Karen might be willing to do us another session of Try Watercolor with SAWG. All those classes are managed by the instructors, and they just pay SAWG rent. So we made $2,800 in classes. So
Wow.
that supports the guild. That pays a month's rent. Carla mentioned our new board of directors. We have 2 new people on the board, Pam Mersch and Jean Pasick. Both of them are out of town. So we won't see them throughout the summer. And they are new members at large. Thaddeus had to withdraw, unfortunately. He was going to be our VP of programs. And so all the meetings are scheduled at the church. Our contracts there are all set. We just need somebody to do the programs for, I think it's September, November, April, and May, because we don't have a meeting in December. And so we need a VP of programs to do that, and then put together a committee to run the meet and greet if we're going to have another one of those. That's a lot of fun. I want to thank the board members who served recently. Betsy Conroy stepped down as VP of programs, and she's the one that got everything all ready for next year. We're grateful that she was able to get that all set up to make it easier for the next person. Sandy Walker was a docent today, so she might plug in here later, but she's going to continue as image archivist. And Karen has stepped down as a member at large and is now our classes coordinator. And Karen, I don't know if Sandy called you or not today, but Vicki Wills is an amazing teacher, and Sandy tried to recruit her. So you might want to reach out to her and see if we can get her on board for some classes.
What's her name?
Vicki Wills, Victoria Wills.
Oh,
She brought
okay,
in a
yeah.
whole bunch of bin paintings today, and that's how we talked to her.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And her-
I haven't had much time to think about it, but
Okay.
that's good to know. I talked to, oh no, it was Summer,
Okay.
who's thinking about putting on a class, but she hasn't followed through yet.
She's busy today. I saw her there today. And the
Yeah.
reason I was there today is I called an air conditioning company to see why our
That's right.
electric bill went out through the roof last month. Our electric bill this time last year was, we used 547 kilowatts, and this past month 1,700, and I couldn't figure out why. And I said the only thing we have that would pull electricity like that would be our air conditioning unit. It's a huge Hummer up on the roof. It's a carrier unit. And they came in today on short notice. I called them yesterday and they serviced it and put all new filters in. They hadn't had new filters in 2 years. Some way or another, we let the maintenance contract fall through the cracks. And so they fixed that. They checked the temperature coming out of the vents with some magic thing. They just shoot at it, look like laser. And he said 51 degrees coming out of there, and poor Sandy and Paula were freezing to death till the air conditioner guys set it back to normal. Anyway, the thing I also want to tell people, and we'll have to put a note in on the desk, is we now have a key to that upper floor. It's called a riser key. Larson Baker, our landlord, brought us a key today, and it is in the cash drawer with a tag on it that says riser key for air conditioning maintenance. And so they don't call and make an appointment of when they're going to come, but they know our operating hours. So they might show up in the next 3 months and say, we're here to change the filters. And I want the docents to be able to give them the key to the back of the door. So that's what's going on with that.
And Kay, they know how to access that door, where
The
it is?
AC people do.
Okay.
If you go out the back door, just so you guys know, you would think it would be the door on the right-hand side of our unit, but it is not. It's just around the bend of the corner by these. It says riser, and there are all kinds of key. There's a lockbox and everything on this door.
Oh, okay.
So it's around the corner from the left as you go out the back door. I need to talk about the finances, and this is a little worrisome, but it's not bad. This time last year, we were in the black by $7,000. This year, we're down in the red $13,000. That's a huge gap. We had to dip into our reserves. And there are lots of contributing factors. I think the economy has scared people. People aren't spending money on framing, not entering shows. There's less traffic in the gallery. Artwork is a discretionary expense. So this is a little scary. And our revenue is down by $25,000. Our membership is down by 2,500. We've sent several email reminders. Right now, we only have 200 members and 66 have not renewed. I asked the board members and the other core members who were at the last board meeting. I gave them a sheet of paper with names on it to call people and say, did you forget? Is there something wrong? Can we do something to get you to renew? But 66 people, that's a chunk of change, and it's a little worrisome. I know that there are a couple of folks that have are aging out and concerned, and at the board meeting we discussed possibly making an exemption application, not that they don't pay their dues. They wouldn't have to do be a docent if they enter a show. But we haven't figured out the details on that, and we've got to be really careful. We can't create another category because it means we have to change the bylaws. So that's not. Our donations are down by $12,000. $12,000. Last year we have a couple very generous donations, and we had the grant money that made us feel sort of flush, but we don't have that. Our total gross artwork sales is down 7,000, and there again, that's just we're not selling paintings as much because people aren't coming in the gallery. Show entries are down by 2,000, but that might be because we went from 10 shows to 9 shows. And if you think about it, you guys said, it's another deadline, it's another deadline. So the VP of shows and team decided, okay, let's see if we could pare this down. So we pared it down this year, and then we pared it down again for next year. There'll only be 8 shows. So we need more entries to balance that. And that should work out okay for us. Framers Corner is down, and I think it's because Mike could only do point shows toward here the end, and he's retiring. I have some really good news though. Sandra Parker heard me talking to Mike Dutton the other day while we were checking in for the show and stuff, and she said, I can do that. So she's going to take over Framers Corner for us. Isn't that cool? I'm so happy. And that's a great membership perk. I mean, you know how much it costs to frame. So you guys are getting it at wholesale plus 25%, which is unheard of. Some good news. Okay. Our workshops keep us healthy. We made $14,000 in workshops, and that's when we didn't even fill them. So it's real important to sign up for the workshops. We put some of our money into CDs. We earned $1,600 in our CDs this year. We saw that our storage unit costs were going to jump by $50 a month, and I sort of went ballistic, and I said, I called them and I started fussing with them, and they said, there's a new place opening down at Park Place Mall. And they probably have a special on. Our June bill for the old storage unit would have been $198 a month for a 10 by 10. Now listen to this. I got us into the new one at Park Places, the old Sears store, brand new, virgin unit, a 10 by 15, so 50 square feet more for $80 a month. Go figure. So there's $1,200 we'll save for next year. All right. And the other thing that is a real biggie, last year we paid over $10,000 in credit card processing fees. There's a company that takes a percentage of every transaction we do with a credit card. Your dues, everything. They were taking 5.1%. Go figure. I mean, that's 5% of our revenue almost. I called them, and when I talked to the customer service rep, he said, oh my God. He said, I shouldn't have said that. He said, we're being recorded. He said, this isn't right. He's giving us a new rate of 1%. So instead of paying $900 a month in credit card processing fees, we're going to pay somewhere maybe $200 to $300 a month. So we're going to save a chunk of change on that. But it's just one of these things that, do you remember when you had the old long distance phone service, and if you didn't call AT&T and bug them and say, I'm going to switch to something else, Ma Bell, that they give you a better deal, just like Dish and DirecTV, you call them back. Well, you got to push sometimes. So anyway, that will help us. That'll save us about $6,000 a year. And expenses. Everybody's expenses are going up. You know what? You know what eggs cost. You know what your gas prices are like. Our new lease that will start in February of 2026 will go up 3%. And so we'll start paying another $100 a month more. Right now, our rent's $2,071 a month. I know your eyes are glazing over, but I just want to impress on you. We're running a business here, and it's sort of shocking. We take it for advantage of having this beautiful facility. And next February, it'll go up to $2,150. So I don't want to scare you. We have money in the bank. We have $110,000 in all our accounts. We just depleted it by a chunk. Was $115,000 last month. But I jumped ahead here just a second. I did want to tell you that Larson Baker told us that we have the lowest rent on the strip. We're getting our rent at $10.51 a square foot, and it's all the rest of the plaza is paying 20. The fact that we've been with them for going on 8 years now, I think they're sympathetic. They know we're a nonprofit. And so they're really being very nice to us. Pete, our bookkeeper, I call him my bookkeeper because he watches me and I watch him, wanted us to be audited because nobody has audited the financial folks in years. And so we have a new member, Nancy Derby, who is an accountant for one of the biggest law firms in Texas. And she came in on May 17th, and Jeannie Ramsey, our gallery financial manager who touches the money first after the docents, Pete and me all sat down with her and shared our processes and how we do business. And she said that she liked all our processes and she was able to certify that we're not running off with your money and buying luxury cars and stuff, despite the fact that some might think that. Anyway, so that was sort of a nice thing to say they liked our processes and that we're doing it right. We all watch each other and it works well. I'd like to tell you about some of the new members and their contributions too. Myra Teak has stepped up and is just doing a bang up job with Facebook and Instagram. I don't know if you see that on your Facebook accounts. If you go to Southern Arizona Watercolor Guild on Facebook, she's posting the shows and all the pictures and just having a good old time doing a video of the gallery. So let people know, let your friends know about our Facebook presence, because that's our best advertising to today's generation. The board voted to discontinue our two-liner ad in the Desert Leaf that was costing us $45 a month that nobody reads. So we discontinued that, and we're going to have to find new ways. The other person I mentioned was Sandra Parker stepping up to do Framers Corner. What we do need right now, and I hope somebody can help us find some folks, we need people to deliver rack cards to hotels and libraries like we used to. Sandra Montgomery used to do this. Risa Walt used to do this. And this is something that's easy to do. We have 1,000 rack cards in the gallery. So that's the way we'll get the word out now. Okay, let's see, bottom line here. I didn't mean to paint a negative picture, but we're on a downward trend and I'd like to turn it around if we can. As I mentioned, we have $110,000. One of the things that's interesting is if we sign a 3-year lease for our rent, we would be obligated, if something would happen unforeseen that we had to close the gallery, we would be obligated for 3 years rent. That's what the lease says. So we would owe $77,000, and that's 70% of what we have in the bank. And we do have a little insurance plan behind the scenes in our storage unit. We have all these beautiful paintings that some of the artists have said we can auction off if we get in dire straits. And we're thinking about doing some fundraising events this year to raise money and have silent auctions of some of these beautiful paintings that we have.
Kay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you tell me again the statistic that you started with, which is, where we were in the black last year at this time and we're in the red now?
We were in the black last year by 7,000 K. So we started the year and we're down 13,000 this year. So
okay, thank you.
yeah. In preparing the budget for next year, taking into consideration some of these items that I've mentioned, we need almost $8,000 to balance the budget. I have a line item in there. It's just a slush line item. It said, this is how much more revenue we need to balance our budget. And the expenses are up, revenue streams down. So we're looking for some creative ways to raise some money or reduce our expenses. We're open to your suggestions. Here's an idea, just to get your juices gone. We decided that maybe we could have our May or September general meeting in the gallery instead of paying $300 rent of the church. And that's a drop in the bucket, but these are the kinds of things we're looking at. And those meetings aren't as well attended because the snowbirds haven't returned, and we could still have a program there. Bring in some extra chairs and stuff. We've got a stack of chairs in the storage unit now. And oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you about the storage unit. It's less than a mile from the gallery. The old one was 3 miles away. So we can just run down there and get stuff when we need it. And here's something that my husband and I discovered this year. For those of you who are turning 73 and have to take your minimum distribution from your IRAs, required RMDs, as they call them, did you know that your financial organizations will allow you to make contributions straight from your IRA to nonprofit organizations? And what that does is it reduces your taxable income when you have to take your required minimum distribution. So it's a nice way to think about, well, if I want to make a donation to SAWG, you could do it that way. We received one anonymously last year, and I first thought it was a scam. I called the bank. I was a new treasurer then, and I wasn't sure about it because there was no name on it or anything. You can do it anonymously, you can do it with your name. And if you do, of course, we'll recognize that. But I thought that was interesting. We got a nice donation with no name attached to it. And the bank assured me, she said, I don't even know who it is, but it's legit. Okay, fine. We will be okay if we watch our expenses. Cutting those big things like the $6,000 in the credit card expenses that had never been tracked down before. And the storage unit, just little things, will be okay. But I'd really like to make 2025, 26 turn the corner back in the other direction. And I know Carla didn't mention this, but we do need a president, we do need a VP of programs, but the board approached me and asked whether I would be acting president, just to get us through until we can find somebody. What I'd love to do is find somebody that I can mentor, can have them shadow me and groom them for the president position, and help them grow too. That's my take on things. We need to really be careful. And if you have any ideas, we'll welcome them. You can write them to me anonymously, or we can talk about them now. I don't know how long it's been since we raised dues, but I don't want to do anything that will stop people from entering shows or joining the guild by raising those prices. So I'd like to keep those the same and during this tenure. Questions, comments?
Hey, do we have a possibility of having reduced dues for like art teachers or students? Did you hear me?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't considered that. Well, the students do have a reduced fee. Their dues are only $25.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We
I
gotta
don't
be
know if
careful.
art teachers, might be interested or not.
Incentive. It's an idea. We can talk about it.
Yeah,
Has-
maybe
We
$40
have to be
or
careful, yeah.
something.
One of the things that the bylaws say is that none of the board members, doesn't say anything about teachers though, that we're not allowed to accept, what do you call, any kind of compensation for our volunteerism. And so we've got to be careful we don't start drawing a line. The closest thing we have is the workshop hosts get a reduced fee. And even that's borderline, but they work their butts off. They deserve a reduced fee as far as I'm concerned. Okay, reduced fees for artists. I'm jotting down your thoughts. Janine, you had raised your hand.
Yeah, hi. I'm a very new member, and I really came just to listen to what gets talked about, what the issues are, and it's pretty eye-opening. I want to say I think that thing about the credit card is enormous. That's a very large savings. And I have a bookkeeper from my business years ago that taught me that you call them up every once in a while and ask them for a better price. It seems like that's happened to you a couple of times, Kay. So I think that's wonderful. Something that I would find helpful as a new member is to sit and listen to all these numbers flying back and forth, and what are the opportunities for earning and what are the opportunities for saving. It would be so useful to have some kind of a printed statement. I don't know if you typically give that out, just a profit and loss statement or something to give out to members, because I'm completely new and I might have ideas by looking at it on paper, like what could be an opportunity to save money or to spend less money by seeing
Well,
it on paper.
I will share with you, Janine, that every month the board minutes are published on the website, and attached every month is a monthly income and expense statement. And I would love another pair of eyes. So if you want to sit with me sometime, I'll go over the details just so
I
you
would
can
be
see.
happy to sit with you and do that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm not a financial whiz, but as a designer for years, I worked with financial teams to present their numbers, present their information to shareholders so that they could understand it. And I'm not talking about real experienced stock type people, but people, your basic people that invest that don't really understand the investment market. So, what we have here on a very simplified basis is artists don't really want to look at that, but this it's very necessary. From what you're saying, it sounds like it's really important. So I would be very happy to sit with you. And are you saying that that's been coming via the email?
No, if you go to the website under members only and you look for the board minute meetings, you can go and look at every set of minutes, and attached are all the financial reports, membership reports, and
Okay.
all available to every member to see with to
An email,
transparency.
and how often are those reports done, monthly or quarterly or?
Monthly.
A suggestion I would make is, again, as a new member, if I don't know it's there, I don't know to go look for it. What I think could be very helpful is just an email, maybe just once a quarter, with a link. And say this is to the members only page. This is the state of our financial status right now as it stands. To let people know it's there, make it really easy for them to just click and get to it. That's what I would find useful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. When you're new, you can get overwhelmed. Like I feel like I have been in a way, like where do I find this or how do I do this? And when you're on board for a while, you sometimes very used to knowing where things are, and it's harder to look at it through the eyes of somebody new. But I will sit with you, Kay, and look at it. I'm very curious about it. And I would love to be helpful in that way if I can.
Well, thank you, Janine. That's great. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I saw your bin. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited about my bin.
Yeah, let me, Cindy has her hand up here. I need to unmute. Unmute Cindy.
Yeah. When I go to workshops, I talk to other people and I get a lot of people saying, oh, I'm taking 2 this year, or I'm taking, 3 this year, or this is the only one I'm going to take this year. Is there a way we could set up an incentive for the more workshops you take, the more discount you get, or some other kind of incentive?
It's an
Because
idea.
I've told you before, I sign up for all of them, but that's just because this is my art school.
Yeah.
But other people don't. And, the more people we can get signed up, the more money obviously we have coming in.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. That's an idea. We'll have to talk about it. All right. The more a discount.
Based on how many they sign up for.
Yeah. Yeah. We need workshop hosts for the center 2 workshops coming up. And those are a really good deal. You get in for, let's see, 300 for a 4-day and I've forgotten the numbers now. Sorry, I can't remember that kind of stuff off the top of my head. You'd think as a treasurer I do. Nancy, you have a question?
Yes, again, I was wondering, like, if people want to pay by Venmo or Zelle or something, does that come under the category of paying by card? Is that something we get charged for? Because I know a lot of people now just say, can I pay with Zelle or Venmo? Would that be cheaper?
I don't know. Not all banks take those. I know Fidelity, our financial thing,
Uh-huh.
will not do Venmo. We bank with Wells Fargo.
Uh-huh.
So it's
And they do Zelle.
They do Zelle.
Yeah.
I know a lot of especially the young kids these days, they pay for everything with Zelle or Venmo. And I just wonder if we do not get an extra charge for that, would it be an incentive for somebody to say, if you want to pay by Venmo or Zelle, you even get like a 1% discount or something. It's like cash, I
I don't
think.
know. I have.
But I just thought it might be worth checking.
Is
They
that
still
something?
charge, those companies will still, they're not for free.
Say that again.
There's still a charge if you pay with one of those.
Oh, there's still a
Only
charge.
with Venmo, not with Zelle. There's no
Not with
charge for
Zelle.
Zelle.
Okay. How do they make money?
It's just a bank thing. They don't make money at it. I've never been charged for using Zelle.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
neither.
I use Zelle and I've
I use
never
Zelle
been
all the time.
charged.
But you the buyer wouldn't be charged, but what about the vendor?
No, I've sent money using Zelle and there's no charge to me.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
And
I've
I've
never been
received money.
charged. Yeah, for anything, just at the garage sale I had, people came up and they wanted to pay, by Zelle or something, and I never got charged for it. So
Not
I
receiving
just might
or
be,
sending.
can somebody look into that? I just don't have the bandwidth to explore that right now. If somebody could look into it and find out the particulars.
would your
Do you-
accountant know about that? Would your accountant know about things like that?
No, not the accountant. They wouldn't know that stuff. And I wouldn't,
Okay.
we'd probably get
do-
charged by the hour if we asked our accountant.
Yeah.
We've
Do
got a
you have-
bookkeeper, but Karen?
Do you have an app for Zelle? I mean, for, what's their name?
Venmo?
No, not Venmo, the bank, Wells Fargo.
Oh, I don't have one. I don't use it that way.
Because that's how I access my Zelle. It's under
Me too.
transfers and there's a thing for Zelle. And that's how I know it. But really the Wells Fargo should know if they, if have Zelle, but somebody might have to have an app or something. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's true. I do it all through the app,
Yeah, I do too.
Interesting. Okay.
and
I
it's really
just don't know
easy.
what I don't know about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't feel comfortable with doing their banking on their phone.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just do it. It just makes
Yeah,
my life so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Karen telling me about this one time at the art show and at Saddlebrook and I went to Fidelity and they don't honor it. So I sort of dead in the water on that.
Mm.
yeah, and it would obviously have to be through Wells Fargo because that's where the guild banks. But it would be easy enough to find out. It's just a question. Whoever Pete could ask whenever he deposits the money, or whoever physically walks in there for the guild, say, "Hey, by the way, can we use Zelle?"
Yeah. Jeannie,
And
if
it's a
you're
yes
with
or
us,
no, huh?
Jeannie Ramsey, I see somebody named Jeannie here.
Jean
Yeah,
Ann.
Jeannie Ramsey's here.
I can't tell if it's her or not. Anyway,
Would Sue Emer know because she's so good with the computer? Or?
Sue, if you don't know this, Sue has dropped her membership with SAWG for a while to take a break to
Oh.
heal. She's just had major surgery.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's just shut herself down for a while, and
Okay.
Jeannie Ramsey has become our new masterpiece admin person, and she's learning from Sue, and she's the only one that's allowed to call Sue for questions right now.
Sure. Okay. Well, sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. I always called her the wizard behind the curtain because she was my
I
go-to
guess.
whenever I
Yeah.
needed anything. So I'm feeling like I'm flying blind a little bit, but the fact that I've done this in the past for a couple of years, it was a easy thing for me to take on. I still have all my treasury duties, but being president really is not the hardest job. You have to prepare agendas, you have to run the meetings, and you could probably talk other people into doing that for you if you had to. It's having just a leadership role and somebody being accountable, I guess, more than anything. But I would prefer not having to wear both hats, but I'm glad I can help right now through this transition until we can figure something out. We need to get our members rejoined. If you know people that are not joining for some reason or they've forgotten, please bring them along. Tell them we miss them and we, I mean, there's lots and lots of perks for being a member of SAWG.
What bank is the guild associated with?
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo. Okay, they have Zelle, that's for sure.
That's what Karen said.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Can I
any,
ask a question about renewing members?
go ahead.
Is there a automatic something that, so somebody has an anniversary renewal, say of June 1st or whatever it is. When that expires, does an email get sent to them? Because sometimes people just need to be reminded.
Well, our fiscal year is June 1st to May 31st. There's no in between. It's not your anniversary of joining. It is the 1st of June. And we've sent multiple emails out to folks to remind them up till the week before May 30th. And there's still 66 people. I don't like to say this out loud, really, but bottom line, people don't read anymore. They don't. We're inundated with data. Our emails come. It's like, oh God, another email from SOG. And so this is one of those things where a phone call to the person and saying, hey, What you doing? I noticed that you hadn't renewed your dues. I didn't. Oh, I thought I did. I'm sorry. Oh, that must have been last year. I can't tell you how often that happens. They just forget. I mean, even
Yeah.
our judge for the last show, Chuck, I told Monty, I said, ask him to renew his dues, please.
Would it would it be improper to text these 66 people? You
Well,
know,
not everybody's text
calling them.
enabled. I think a phone
yeah.
call from a board member
Oh,
or
sure.
a
Yeah,
keyhole is the
that's
nice
true.
touch.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I
Some
said,
people only text, it seems, that's what the young kids only text. They don't do emails.
yeah,
So,
I know somebody like that. Haha.
yeah.
That would be me.
Carla.
So,
I've learned to text Carla. I said, check your email, please.
I just want to clarify something because I'm not clear. If I joined on April 11th, I wouldn't expect to renew until April 11th of 26. Is that not
No.
correct?
No, you would get grandfathered in from March 1st. We give people from March 1st to the last 3 months of the year to join, and we won't make you rejoin on June 1st. So there's a little 3 month window there. So if you joined in April, you're good for the following year.
Hmm.
Until the 31st of next
So
May.
basically, this sounds like the fourth quarter or the last 3 months of that preceding year. But if somebody joined in January, they would have to join up again.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
in June 1st. Yes.
We've never done the it's just a nightmare trying to keep what's the word I want?
Anniversaries.
Not
Yes.
anniversaries, but prorated. I mean, if
Oh,
50
yeah,
bucks, I
prorated.
mean,
Yeah,
prorating 50 bucks is not worth the time or the effort to do. So, and our dues have been that for years and years, ever since I've been a member. And I was joined in 2003, I think. So, but it even if we raised the dues to $60, $10 per 200 is just not enough to make us want to turn off people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cindy, you raised your hand, yeah? Unmute, unmute, unmute.
I'm such a good Zoomer by staying muted when I'm supposed to, but then I forget to unmute. I have this is going back to the Zelle question. I Googled how does a nonprofit receive money by Zelle, and what it basically says is their bank is that the nonprofit has to associate their bank account with an email address or US mobile phone number. And to receive the payment, then Zelle facilitates the money there. But the way it works is so somebody makes the payment, and then the recipient, being SAWG, it has to go to a mobile phone number. And then
Oh.
somebody has to say, I agree to receive the payment. So it's a two,
Yeah,
both parties have to communicate with the intermediary who is Zelle.
got it.
Mhm.
Well, that would be hard to do when we're
That might be
doing
very
it via
complicated.
website and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I don't think it would work with a website at all.
Yeah,
I think I think SAWG would have to have an app.
yeah, yeah. And the docent would have to know how to use it.
Yeah.
It's not
And
going to
I'm not
happen.
training a docent to do something more. I I um uh, I get this write up from a Curiosity Chronicle from a guy named Sahil something or other. And I read it, it's really geared toward the up and coming business person, but there are always these little treasures in there. And yesterday morning he had one 8 questions to ask yourself. And some of them were noteworthy. They were noteworthy enough that I emailed them to myself so that I could read them again. And it's so easy for us when we've been in an organization, like Janine said, you've been in an organization for so long that it's okay. That this is the way we've always done it, right? And it's hard to change. And some of the questions he asked, and listen to these, I just thought this was noteworthy. Am I solving the right problem or just the first one I noticed? What would I do if I wasn't afraid of being wrong or judged? How would someone in a completely different field solve this? Janine sort of looking at it from another perspective. Yeah. If this were a puzzle or a game, how would I approach it differently? And if this were someone else's problem, what advice would I give them? But I think I'm very guilty of wanting to stay in the same track because it keeps my life simple because I know how to do it. But I know that we sort of need to sometimes think outside the box to make things happen. And so that's why I wanted to open this up to new ideas and Zelle and Venmo, but Cindy showed us why that might be a little bit challenging, but I didn't want to say no, right? Anyway,
Well, to answer that question, we used to have Sue that handled everything behind the scenes with Masterpiece, and a lot of that included how the money came and went. We could have a person who is like in charge of Zelle. We would have to get a dedicated phone number for them so that they're not using their personal phone for Zelle transactions. It would have to be like a new phone number for purposes of that for SAWG and operate on a mobile basis. And then that person would be the one who, like Sue did with an awful lot of stuff, that person would be the one to accept funds.
well, if you think about it, every night, I think Jeannie does this. I think it's what in retail we'd call batching the files. All the transactions, she has to go through each one and accept them. So it'd be a similar process, I guess.
Yeah,
But think about this. We really don't want one individual to have to take care of every one of these transactions. I mean, that person might be on vacation, that person might be in the hospital, that person might be someplace else, that person might be just at home and not near a phone. It strikes me that it would be really unworkable to have one individual available every time somebody wanted to do a transaction by Zelle.
I would ask the question, how many Zelle transfer transactions would we really have?
Well, and the other thing is that we would also incur the expense of, we would have to buy a mobile phone and tap into some phone plan and pay for it.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah.
And that would be a monthly fee.
Yeah.
It would be a monthly fee on that phone.
Oops. Probably not. Well, let's see. Let's watch what happens with our credit card transaction fees, because we've got something that works and we're going to get reduced fees. And this popped up because I brought up the issue of how much we're spending, but we have a first step right now that we can use, and we'll try that first and see how much difference it makes. Does that sound good?
Since we're not of the youngest generation, it's still possible that we could send a check in.
Checks are still Yeah, yeah. That means have to fill out the paper form to go with it, because we won't know which check's for. But there are
I
still
think it
people
could
that
help.
enter
Yeah.
shows with a check. Yeah,
I mean, if we feel that it could save money for the guild,
yeah. Well, 1% of $35 is not a whole lot. Um, whereas if we were talking a $10,000 transaction, I might say, yeah, send me a check, please. So. Other
Question,
comments?
is the payment method that you're considering equally for both members paying fees as well as customers paying for artwork?
Yes, it's everything, every credit card transaction that happens, whether you're renewing your dues online, entering a show and using your credit card, buying a card at the gallery, all of those things, registering for a workshop. When we
Okay.
got on our new website, our new masterpiece, we really moved to the 20th century. We were writing little 3-layer pieces of paper, handwritten, not that long ago. What has it been? 5 years now? And then some poor bookkeeper had to take all those little yellow slips and add them together and
Oh, God.
do all that. So we're grateful that we have
Yeah,
a
I think that is
system.
a lot to be said for
Yeah,
to
yeah.
communication. But so would you say just very roughly 50-50, 50% is for customers, 50% is for members in terms of the monies or fees that are paid? Just approximately.
I I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but I could check it out.
Yeah, just kind of curious. The reason I'm asking is I think it's always good to be customer oriented, customer driven, but I've had numerous people ask me if this would be locally, if I would take Zelle or Venmo, and I said no, because
Oh,
I don't want to do it.
no.
It's too much of a paper trail. It's what you just described, and it's just me. I don't do well with little slips of paper. So anything that's gonna gum up the bookkeeping works for me. I just can't go there. And I think it's okay. We don't have to say yes to everything.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
I'm just putting that perspective on it. My primary way of taking payment, if it's someone I don't know out of the area, it's definitely got to be online digital. If it's somebody local that I know, especially if it's someone at my church, happy to take a check. And I'm really happy to take cash if it's in person. So that just disappears into my wallet. So I just do think that we can just sort of set up our criteria, and the fact that we've gotten a really good um, break on the credit card by asking about it, I think we should see how that plays out, because that sounds like it's going to really work very nicely to our benefit. So I'm not trying to be anti-Zelle. I just, just for myself. And I'm with Wells Fargo. I know I could use it for free, but I just say no. I'm happy to take a check or whatever, and I'll even go pick it up.
Now,
So it just shows
I
what I
will,
want to do, or not
yeah.
do.
Karen?
Yeah.
Well, I will say, I do the Festival of Books, right, for the last few years. And very few people ask if they can pay by Zelle. They pay by Apple Pay or Google Pay. They pay, by credit card, occasionally cash, no checks. And so I'm not sure that Zelle or Venmo right now is the hugest way, and all the sales I've made in the gallery, I mean, there haven't been that many, but nobody says, gee, can I pay by Zelle? So I like Zelle. People pay, I tell my students for my classes, they can pay me by Zelle or they can bring a check or cash, or mail me a check. But so it's not that I'm against Zelle. I like Zelle and I've paid some people with Zelle,
Okay.
but I'm not sure, like Janine said, I'm not sure it's a really big issue right now that we're going to miss a sale because we don't take Zelle.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. Yeah. First of all, I want to tell you some chat's been going on behind the scenes. Carla, thank you so much. Nancy Cole wants to take a bunch of cards and put them in spaces downtown. visitor centers and hotels, and she's gonna pick some up this weekend. And then Charlotte Landis is gonna make some phone calls for us to get renewal, and Carla's given her list of people to call. So I thank you, Charlotte, for offering to do that.
Kay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna have to sign off, but thank you very much for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Janine's gonna put some at the Pima County Library. Great. All right. Bye, Beverly. Thank you for your efforts today. She got us a new calendar set up for the gallery.
I
Oh,
tried.
good.
Dosa calendar. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. What else can I do for you guys? Anything?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
I know the last board meeting I attended, not this last one, of course. We were talking about doing fundraising. Has that been discussed in any more detail? Has anybody thought about doing maybe a Kickstarter type of campaign to raise money? We would offer framed artwork or something like that as the thing, but Kickstarter can be a big success or not. I've never done one, but I know some of the particulars of it. And so I don't know what we're really thinking of for doing for fundraising. Because I really think,
didn't discuss
I've
it.
already said this, that I think we really need to concentrate on fundraising this year because we need the money.
Yeah, yeah. We did not discuss it this time much, only from the standpoint of the Western Fed coming up and raising money for that. We're going to need a big chunk of change, and that'll come up Monday in the Western Fed meeting. Marty's here with us, and we talked about doing that. I think Carla was very interested in helping with that one. But we didn't do anything specific for the gallery because I really didn't have all the final numbers till May 30th. And ran them after that, after the board meeting, because I couldn't get them all together because Pete hadn't reconciled everything yet. When the board meeting is that early in the month, we need a few days afterwards to get all the numbers. I think what's going to happen is this next quarter, we're going to watch and see where we're going financially. But there's nothing to say that we couldn't have a little mini fundraiser when we reopen. That's the other thing we talked about. When we reopen the gallery, I take this back, my comment. The first reception of the C3, we decided we'd make it a little more gala-like, and Carla is going to put white tablecloths and tulle, and we'll make a big deal about a grand reopening. And I authorized an extra $100 for extra food if we marketed this a little bit more, because we want to get people into the gallery and see the new wall hanging system and the fresh paint and all of that. So that was the little bit. And we did talk about maybe having a book sale, if I recall. Do you remember that, Carla?
Yes, we talked about doing another sidewalk sale, right?
Well, we got a big donation from somebody, and I took a whole bunch of stuff to the new storage unit, but we did talk about having another sidewalk sale because we might have enough. But we wouldn't do that till later in the year. Yeah, much later. I mean, we did it in the spring this time. So, but we're going to be pushing and to make sure we get back on track, and especially if we don't want to go in the wrong direction.
Well, and if anybody can think of any way to do an easy fundraiser or anything, we are willing to take suggestions.
One of the things that I thought about was that we have a month-long silent auction of some of our collection, our SAWG collection, and put them on the special wall And there'll be a place for people to write in their, I wouldn't call it a silent auction, but it's an auction. Because this morning I had a gal come up to me and say, when is that painting going to go on sale? And it's the one in the office. I forgot who the artist is. It's the green one with the city look. It was used to sit over the desk. And she said, who was it? It was Laura Barbar and Sarah, I think. We'd have a running tally on that one to find out who'd get it. So there's interest in some of these paintings, and we'd have to find out from Sue Mann what their value is, because she's gotten permission from the artist for some of these paintings and what the value would be. The painting itself might be so much, but the SAWG has paid to frame these things. So you know how much framing is worth. So that might be one thing we could do on the grand reopening of having some of those paintings on the wall to make some money.
That's true.
Anyway. All right.
And if people wanted to make it truly silent, you just issue everybody numbers, everybody who wants to participate.
Yeah, I've never done a silent auction.
I have. I've
You
done
how
a
to
lot
do
of them.
that. Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about that some more. We don't have to use everybody's time to do that, but these are some good ideas.
When is the grand reopening, and is that in after the painting and the new hanging system is installed? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it'll be in August.
Is that when the next show is up, or is that?
Yeah, the C3 show starts, hold on, I've got my rack card right here.
I think it's the 5th.
C3 show starts on August the 5th, and the reception would be August the 14th. So our event would be on the 14th with the grand reopening reception.
Okay, so the July is closed for the painting then.
Yeah, we're closing on July
Mid-July.
the 13th through August the 5th. I
So
think
there's a
it's 3 weeks.
summer show in June and early July, then closed, and then August is when that's the reopening.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just
Would
curious.
would you be planning for the grand reopening show reception to be open to the public? Because I see a grand reopening of the gallery to be marketed to the public.
That's a
Mhm.
good idea. Yes, I would. That's why, I mean, it's
All of our
always open to
receptions
the
are
public when we
open to
put
the
our
public.
sign out. We just don't market it. And we'd have to figure out how to market it. We'll send it to, we have a list of patrons
Patrons.
that we always send this kind of stuff to, and they come visit us. But we might want to put some kind of little blurb.
Every
somewhere.
reception is open to the public.
Yeah.
Nothing. So
No,
there
but
should be
nobody
no
knows
sign.
that.
Well,
Like the
Right.
general public doesn't know
You
that.
know that. No,
Yeah.
We have
I
to be
think they don't
careful,
know.
we're serving alcohol and a little bit of caution is required if we open it to the public, because
then we have to card people.
size and everything else.
I think getting the word out, it seems to be has come up a few times, whether it's to our members or to the public or whatever. Another idea that I had was, first I have a question. I have your cards as well. The workshops look like they're mapped out all through next year at this time. And you've got 4 on the back that are a weekend, and then the ones on the front, are those the Monday night things?
Well, all of them are, they're related. One of them has a little more detail where it's a 3-day workshop and a design. Monday night is the Monday before the workshop starts. So Michael Holder would be October the 13th.
Gotcha.
Where
Okay.
those are our general meetings where these guys
Right.
do a demo for us.
Okay, a demo, right. And then the ones that are 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back that are 3-day long.
They're all
are
the
the
same. Carol
workshops.
Carter's a 3-day. Ratinda is a 3-day. She just put it front and back with different pictures. Same
Oh.
artist,
Oh.
the same artist with a little more
So they're
detail.
all 3-day workshops then?
No, the first one's a 4-day.
Well, I mean, they're all multiple day workshops.
Yes.
4 days
And-
and
Yeah,
then three
And
days.
what do they generally cost to
The
attend?
4 day is $495 for a member, $595 for a non-member. That's 495. The 3 day is, what is it, $275?
Okay.
No,
It's all on the website,
$395, I think.
Oh,
I think it's
okay.
under
395.
workshops.
So the point I'm trying to raise here is these are two-tiered pricing for members, non-members, in the $300 to $500 range,
Yep.
for multiple days workshops. Do you guys offer any workshops that are simply a few hours?
Not workshops, classes. but
Classes, okay, so you call them
classes.
classes.
Yeah,
And
we
what
use
are-
the
how do
word
those
workshops
work?
for our premier workshops. I mean, we start recruiting these people 3 years in advance, and
Mhm.
they're nationally renowned.
Yeah.
Pay them lots of
Um,
money.
Tell me about the,
And they wouldn't come for a 3-hour deal.
They wouldn't do that, no.
Right.
Couldn't
We
afford
pay
it.
for their
But,
airfare, their room, hotel, everything.
right, but that's a different type of thing than a one shot deal, a few hours, where
Yeah.
you could collect a fee that's much less, smaller, but you might have, I don't know, 25 people there. I'm looking at it as a fundraising opportunity.
One of the things we talked about is having another paint and sip. That we did, Tracy Lynn did one several years ago, and that was a lot of fun. So those kinds of things, and that would be a 3-hour event, usually in the evening.
Yeah,
Karen's
and
done a bunch of those for the Saddlebrook Fine Art Guild,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
in the gallery space.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the nice thing about that is, besides the fact that you own it, that's a nice feature, but it gives people a chance to come by and see the space and see some art on the wall.
Yeah,
And it's a chance to raise some money uh, for the gallery.
it does.
Yeah.
And Janine, great ideas. It's just finding somebody to make it happen.
Mhm,
You know, we
mhm.
need a volunteer to say, I'll take a paint and sip. I'll do that. I'll take the lead.
Well, I would be willing to consider teaching. I have a contract with the Pima County Library, and I'm a library presenter, and I teach workshops there, what they call them workshops. They're basically 1 to 2 hours, depending. They're up to 15 people. It's free to the public, which is a different model. And I get paid by Pima County because I'm under contract. So I'm used to teaching in that model. So I would be willing to consider that. And this could be, I mean, I teach anyone from 8-year-olds to 80-year-olds and everything in between.
Yeah.
So it's not a highfalutin, big fancy pants thing, but it is an opportunity to bring everyday people into the art realm and expose them and make it affordable for them and make it a fundraiser for the gallery, because every little bit adds up. If you had charged, I don't know, $30 for
You don't
a
have to invent
class.
it. Karen knows all about this. She's our classes coordinator.
Okay,
We've got a framework for doing this.
good, that's great. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so Karen, you and Janine talk and see if we can get her on the calendar, even if it's just a one-time event, and we'll get it advertised.
Sure, I mean, that's where it starts, just one time, and I just I want to see how you guys run it and see if it makes sense for what I do, because like I said, I've been doing this with the library for 2 years. I have a 5-year contract. It works really well for me.
Are you talking about the try watercolor with SAWG?
No, I'm just talking, she's willing to teach a class.
Like
Well, yeah, I
sip-
talked to you the last meeting, Janine.
Yeah, here's my info if you don't have it.
No, I don't, but I will now.
She put it on chat, yeah.
Yeah, and you can text me yours. and just sort of find out what you guys, what your framework is. Because that's a way that I feel like I could help.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no sense in reinventing the wheel, but
Exactly, right.
yeah.
But I didn't
Yeah.
see it on any of these cards, and that's why I'm asking.
No,
So,
the cards for classes are generated by the individual instructor, and they're usually at the very front of the gallery up front door. The rack cards are our show schedule and our premiere workshops, because it costs a lot of money to make these
Yeah.
rack cards. Oh. Alrighty then. We've been at it for an hour and 18 minutes. This was recorded, so I will see if I can get Anne to edit the front part off of it to take the extra 15 minutes off and post this on the website for those who couldn't attend, and we'll put an email together. Anyway,
okay, I put my information in the chat if you want to take it down. If you did want to get together and talk about the financial thing, I'd be happy to do that.
okay, I'm gonna take a picture of your contact information if my cat will get out of the way.
Are you in Midtown area?
No, I live up in Saddlebrook. Takes me 50 minutes to get to the gallery.
Oh my. Okay, I live about 2 minutes from the gallery.
Oh,
A lot of people
What
do.
about
Can't,
more.
I don't.
Very centrally located gal.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Okay, but we'll talk about.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you all. I'm going to sign us all off, and I hope everybody has a nice evening.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Glad I could
thanks,
be here.
Kat.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.